Number 1. Wow signal. It was a quiet night in Delaware, Ohio. August 15th, 1977. A volunteer astronomer named Jerry Emmon sat reviewing data from Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope. Pages of computer printout filled with nothing but static. Numbers 1 and 2, mostly cosmic background noise. Mundane. Then at 11:16 p.m., channel 2 changed. The intensity reading didn't just tick up, it exploded. 6. Then E, which meant 14 times background noise. Then Q, 26 times. Then U, 30 to 31 times louder than anything around it. A perfect rise and fall lasting exactly 72 seconds as the telescope swept across a patch of sky in Sagittarius. Emmon grabbed a red pen, circled the sequence 6EQUJ5, and wrote one word in the margin. Wow, he later admitted. I should have written holy cow. 48 years later, that signal remains unexplained. Now, why does 1420 megahertz matter so much? Because hydrogen is everywhere. It's the most abundant element in existence. And hydrogen naturally emits energy at exactly 1420 megahertz. Think of it as the universe's default setting, the one frequency any scientist anywhere in the cosmos would check first. So when the wow signal came in on that exact channel, it wasn't coincidence. Any civilization advanced enough to build a telescope would know this frequency. It's the cosmic water cooler, the place everyone gathers. This wasn't a star burping or a galaxy rumbling. This was a deliberate, focused shout on the one channel we'd all be listening to. Someone was calling. You'd think they'd point the telescope back immediately. They did. Nothing. They scanned that exact patch of Sagittarius thousands of times over the following months. Silence. They brought in the Very Large Array, one of the most powerful radio observatories on Earth. Still nothing. The source was traced to a spot near globular cluster M55, but with no repeat signal. It was like finding a single footprint in an endless desert. No tracks leading in. No tracks leading out. Just one print. Was it a rogue planet? A secret military satellite nobody's admitted to? Or a beacon from somewhere else that, for 72 seconds, aimed its transmitter straight at Ohio? In the years after, a different kind of silence fell. Not from the sky, from the laboratories. Mainstream science rushed to explain it away. Maybe an Earth signal bounced off the moon, later ruled out the moon was on the wrong side of the planet. Maybe a secret satellite? No satellites passed overhead that night. In 2025, a study proposed a magnetar flare hitting a hydrogen cloud. Natural, they said, but the lead researcher admitted something striking. This doesn't close the case. It reopens it. The most exciting possibility, aliens, is the one they're most desperate to bury. That original printout, with Emmon's red ink, sits in a box somewhere. A relic. But think about what else was in those archives. For nearly 50 years, 75,000 pages of observations sat untouched, collecting dust while the mystery aged. Only now are scientists finally digitizing them, looking for clues that were always there. Buried. Forgotten. Who decides which data gets analyzed and which gets ignored? Who decides which mysteries are worth solving? And more importantly, who benefits when some questions remain unanswered? Today, the wow signal is a ghost. We have its footprint, not its source. A 72-second message in a bottle we couldn't answer. Here's the part that haunts. Whatever sent that signal isn't there anymore. It's traveling away from us at the speed of light. 50 years of history have passed for that civilization, if it existed. Are they still there, waiting for a reply we never sent? Did they give up? Did they vanish? We pointed our telescopes back and heard nothing. To this day, the silence is the loudest thing of all. The wow signal came from somewhere far away, a point in Sagittarius we still can't pinpoint. But imagine if a signal came from much closer. Imagine it came from our nearest neighbor, the star system right next door. In 2019, that's exactly what astronomers thought they'd found. Number 2, Proxima Centauri. In April 2019, the Parkes Murraying Telescope in Australia was doing something extraordinary, listening to our closest neighbor. Proxima Centauri, just 4.2 light-years away. The Breakthrough Listen project, a $100 million bet that we're not alone, had its ears wide open. Then the data came through. A narrowband signal at 982 megahertz. Not a frequency our satellites normally use. And here's the part that made their blood run cold. It had a Doppler shift. The frequency drifted, meaning the source was moving, exactly what you'd expect from a transmitter on a rotating planet. It appeared, it lasted, it vanished. They called it BLC-1, and for a while, they thought they'd found our neighbors. Proxima Centauri isn't just another star. It hosts a planet, Proxima Centauri b, a rocky world orbiting right in the habitable zone. The Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold. Liquid water possible. Life possible. So when BLC-1 appeared, it wasn't just a signal from somewhere. It was a whisper from a world that could be like ours. The scientific community held its collective breath. Could this finally be it? Could the closest star system in the universe be saying hello? For months, nobody dared say it out loud, but everyone was thinking the same thing. Then the letdown came. Researchers noticed something troubling. The signal appeared in other observations too. Even when the telescope wasn't pointed at Proxima Centauri. Even when it was aimed at blank sky. By 2020, BLC-1 was gone entirely. The final blow landed when they found identical signals from multiple targets. It was interference. Human interference. A cell phone, maybe. A passing satellite. A forgotten piece of electronics screaming into the cosmos. The hope shattered not by aliens ignoring us, but by our own noise. We reached out for contact and heard nothing but ourselves. Here's the irony that stings. The biggest obstacle to finding aliens isn't the vast emptiness between stars. It's us, our satellites, our cell towers, our radar. We've created a cacophony of radio noise that drowns out any whisper from out there. We are they. We're the ones suppressing the signal. How many genuine messages have we missed because we couldn't stop listening to ourselves? Even with BLC-1 exposed as interference, a deeper mystery remains. The closest star system to Earth is silent. Completely silent. For a civilization so near, why wouldn't they reach out? Unless they did, and we, in our technological adolescence, were too busy with our own noise to hear them properly. That's the question that keeps astronomers awake. Are they quiet because they're not there? Or are they quiet because we're not really listening? Today, BLC-1 sits in the archives as a cautionary tale. A candidate that fooled the best minds in astronomy. But its real message is a warning. As our telescopes get more sensitive, we'll only find more ghosts. More false alarms. More moments of hope crushed by reality. The true signal, the real one, is out there somewhere, buried in the noise. We just have to learn how to hear it, and stop shouting over it. If our closest neighbors are silent, what about signals that aren't from neighbors at all? What about signals so powerful and so distant they seem impossible? That brings us to something else entirely. Fast radio bursts. Number 3, ancient burst. In 2024, astronomers announced something that rewrites how we think about time. They traced the signal back to its source. Not just any signal. A fast radio burst designated FRB 202-20610A. This single, fleeting blast of energy had traveled for 8 billion years before slamming into our telescopes. 8 billion years. Think about that. When this signal began its journey, our sun didn't exist. Earth didn't exist. The very atoms that make up your body were still scattered across the cosmos. This is the oldest and most distant signal of its kind ever found. What could possibly generate that much energy? What was happening 8 billion years ago that screamed loud enough for us to hear today? When astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at the source, they expected a single galaxy, one chaotic dying star. Instead, they found something far stranger. A tight cluster of at least 7 galaxies, jammed together like cars in a wreck. Interacting, merging, colliding. This wasn't a quiet neighborhood. It was a cosmic traffic jam, a stellar nursery of pure chaos. Astronomer Brian Lackey once suggested environments like this would be perfect for an expanding civilization, places where you could literally planet hop. If something lived there, they'd have neighbors right next door. Here's what doesn't make sense. That millisecond-long burst released more energy than our sun will emit in an entire century. 100 years of our star's life, compressed into a blink. What natural process does that? The theories point to death, neutron stars collapsing into black holes, ultra-dense stellar corpses slamming together. Cataclysm, annihilation. But that's the paradox. If these bursts are natural, they're the screams of dying stars. If they're artificial, they're the signature of something so advanced it can harness the power of a star. Death or superintelligence. Those are the only options. If something sent that signal from 8 billion light years away, they aren't a they we can comprehend. A civilization that can produce energy across cosmic distances is to us what we are to an ant. The suppression isn't of the signal, it's of our own understanding. Our brains, built for hunting and gathering, are trying to comprehend the actions of gods. Maybe we're not even hearing a message. Maybe we're just hearing their exhaust. What was in that burst? A simple hello, encoded in radiation? A vast library of knowledge compressed into a millisecond? We'll never know. The signal we detected was just the carrier wave. The message itself, if there was one, is lost in the noise of the Big Bang. It arrived as nothing but a ripple, a faint boom from the dawn of time, with its meaning stripped away by 8 billion years of travel. The universe shouted, and all we heard was a whisper. Today, FRB 202-20610A is a ghost light from a dead era. Its origin galaxy cluster is now 16 billion light years away, receding from us faster than light itself. We can never go there. We can never know what caused it. It's a message in a bottle, thrown from a shore that no longer exists into an ocean that keeps expanding. To this day, its true nature is a complete and total mystery. And it always will be. Some signals come from the edge of time. Others come from much closer. And some are so strange, they defy explanation entirely. Number 4. Impossible pulsar. Deep in our own galaxy, just 14,700 light years away, something is pulsing that shouldn't exist. Astronomers call it ASKAP J1832 0911. It emits joint pulses of radio waves and X-rays, which is rare enough on its own. But the rhythm is what breaks physics. It pulses for 2 minutes, then stops. Then, exactly 44 minutes later, it pulses again. 2 minutes on, 44 minutes off. Like clockwork. This is what scientists call a long-period transient, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about how stars die. According to every model we have, dead stars, neutron stars, white dwarfs, magnetars should not be able to pulse this slowly. They should fly apart. They should collapse. But this thing doesn't care about our models. It just keeps pulsing. Astronomers have tried desperately to fit this object into something familiar. A pulsar? No. Pulsars spin in seconds or milliseconds, not minutes. A magnetar with its insane magnetic fields? Magnetars don't behave like this either. The team that discovered it made a rare admission for scientists. Their best theories do not account for what they're seeing. None of them. This object is either an entirely new class of stellar remnant, something never seen before, or it's something else entirely. Something for which we have no physical explanation at all. When the people who spend their lives studying the cosmos say, "We don't know," that's when you should really pay attention. Now here's where your imagination should start working. When something pulses with that kind of impossible regularity, the question has to be asked. Could it be a beacon? We know spinning neutron stars act like lighthouses, flashing as they rotate. But a 44-minute rotation is physically impossible. Centrifugal force would tear any star apart. So what if the pulse isn't from a spinning star at all? What if it's the cycling of something else? Imagine an immense piece of machinery out there, a Dyson swarm, maybe surrounding a star and beaming its excess energy into space. An alien engine, running on a cycle we can measure but cannot comprehend. The regularity is what tempts us. It's almost too perfect to be random. The suppression around this object isn't about hiding data. It's about hiding imagination. Mainstream astrophysics will work tirelessly to find a natural explanation for ASKAP J1832 0911, no matter how many assumptions they have to stretch. They have to, because to admit that a natural explanation might be impossible is to admit that the unnatural might be real. And that door, once opened, can never be closed again. Meanwhile, the object just keeps pulsing. 2 minutes on, 44 minutes off, unconcerned with our theories, daring us to think the unthinkable. Here's what makes this different from almost every other signal on this list. Unlike the WOW signal, which vanished and never returned, this one is still there. Right now, as you're listening to this, ASKAP J1832 0911 is out there, switching on and off like clockwork. We can point every telescope on Earth at it. We can record every pulse. And we are no closer to understanding it than the day it was discovered. It is a conversation we can listen to, but cannot join. The object is broadcasting its existence to the entire galaxy, and we're the only ones who seem to be listening. Imagine being the only person who hears a voice in an empty house, night after night, with no way to answer back. Today, ASKAP J1832 0911 remains under active observation. It is a living mystery, a blinking question mark in our own galactic backyard. Is it a new type of star, rewriting the textbooks? Or is it something else entirely? A signpost, a beacon, a machine? The fact that we cannot explain, it means one thing for certain. Our map of the universe is incomplete. There are territories on our cosmic charts where we've drawn dragons, warning of unknown dangers. This object is breathing fire. Some mysteries are singular, like this pulsing enigma. But what happens when you have hundreds of them? Hundreds of signals, all unexplained, all waiting to be solved. That's when you realize the pattern might be bigger than any one object. Number 5. Arecibo 100. For decades, if you wanted to listen for aliens, there was one place you dreamed of going. The Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. A massive dish carved into a natural sinkhole, 300 meters across, pointed at the stars. It was the crown jewel of alien hunting. And attached to it was something extraordinary, a project called SETI at Home. From 1999 to 2020, millions of ordinary people around the world, housewives, students, office workers, downloaded a screensaver. While they slept, their home computers analyzed data streaming in from Arecibo. It was the largest distributed computing project in history. 21 years of collective effort. And when it finally ended, it left behind a treasure trove. Over 12 billion individual signal detections. 12 billion whispers from the cosmos, captured by the world's biggest ear and processed by the world's biggest brain. 2 million volunteers. 21 years of computing power. 12 billion signals. From that mountain of raw data, scientists did the unthinkable. They built filters, layer after layer of sophisticated algorithms designed to strip away everything human, everything natural, everything known. They removed interference from satellites. They removed radar from aircraft. They removed every signal that could be traced back to Earth. And when the filtering was done, when every possible explanation had been exhausted, they were left with something shocking. 100 signals. Just 100 out of 12 billion that cannot be explained. These are the survivors. The ones that pass through the great filter of human analysis. The echoes that refuse to be dismissed. 100 whispers that might be something more. Now the real work begins. These 100 prime candidates are being re-examined with the most powerful tool humanity has ever built. China's FAST telescope, the successor to Arecibo. 500 meters of collecting area, nestled in a karst depression in Guizhou. For the first time in history, we have a short list. Actual targets. Actual coordinates in the sky where something unusual happened. These aren't random blips anymore. They're the residue of a 21-year cosmic dragnet, the few fish that didn't get thrown back. Each one of these 100 signals could be the one, or they could be more interference, cleverly disguised. There's only one way to know. Listen again. Listen longer. Listen harder than ever before. Here's what almost no one talks about. This data nearly didn't survive. In 2020, Arecibo collapsed. 900 tons of platform and equipment came crashing down into the dish below, destroying it completely. When it fell, it took with it the ability to gather new data of that kind. The future of listening was silenced. But the past, the old data, the 12 billion signals processed by millions of home computers, that survived. The destruction of the telescope was a suppression of future discovery. But the archived whispers of the universe escaped the wreckage. They live on, waiting in databases, untouched by the collapse. So were these 100 signals? That's the question nobody can answer yet. Are they more interference, sneaking through the filters? Are they new types of natural phenomena we haven't discovered? Pulsars that don't pulse like pulsars? Stars that scream in ways stars shouldn't? Or are they something else entirely? The first confirmed evidence that we are not alone. The scientists are being cautious, as they have to be. Careers end on false alarms. But for the rest of us, the mystery is electrifying. Somewhere in that data, locked in a computer file, could be the answer to humanity's oldest question. Are we alone? As of today, the analysis continues. The 100 signals are being checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. No announcements have been made. The silence from the scientific community is in itself a kind of signal. Are they waiting for confirmation? Are they preparing us for disappointment? Or are they trying to figure out how to tell us that everything has changed? To this day, we wait. The telescopes are pointed. The data is flowing. And somewhere out there, if the signals are real, the source keeps broadcasting, unaware that we're finally listening. But signals aren't the only way to find aliens. Sometimes, the proof isn't in a sound. Sometimes, it's in a chemical. A molecule floating through space that shouldn't be there. That brings us to a different kind of message entirely. Number 6, the Great Silence. 124 light-years away, in the constellation Leo, a world orbits a dim red dwarf star. They call it K2-18b. It's what astronomers now classify as a Hycean world, a planet covered entirely by a vast, global ocean, wrapped in a thick atmosphere of hydrogen, 2.6 times the size of Earth, sitting comfortably in the habitable zone, where temperatures could allow liquid water to exist. For years, it was just another exoplanet on a growing list of maybes. Another candidate, another hope. But in late 2023, and continuing through 2025, the James Webb Space Telescope turned its unblinking golden eye toward this distant ocean world. And what it found made even the most cautious scientists gasp out loud. Here's how it works. When a planet passes in front of its star, a tiny fraction of that starlight filters through the planet's atmosphere. Different molecules absorb different wavelengths, leaving fingerprints in the light. JWST captured that light, and in it, they found something extraordinary. The chemical signatures of dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide. On Earth, these molecules have one primary source. 1. Life. Dimethyl sulfide is produced almost exclusively by marine phytoplankton, microscopic organisms drifting through our own oceans. Billions of them, so small you'd never see them, yet so numerous they change the chemistry of our entire planet. Now that same chemical fingerprint appears in the atmosphere of a distant ocean world. As one astronomer put it, this is the strongest hint yet of biological activity outside our solar system. Professor Niku Midhusudhan led the research team. When the data came in, he called it a huge, transformational moment. Listen to his words. Decades from now, we may look back at this point in time and recognize it was when the living universe came within reach. This isn't proof of intelligence. This isn't little green men or radio signals or alien engineering. This is something more profound. This is proof of biology. Proof that the chemistry of life isn't a miracle that happened once on a lonely planet called Earth. It may be a cosmic imperative, a natural consequence, something the universe does wherever it gets the chance. Even here, with the most powerful telescope humanity has ever built aimed at the most promising target we've ever found, the suppression creeps in. Not as censorship, but as caution. The scientists will spend years ruling out every possible non-biological explanation, every volcanic process, every chemical reaction that doesn't require life. They will say, it could be life, but it could also be... They have to. Their funding depends on it. Their reputations depend on it. But for the rest of us, the message is already clear. Something is alive out there. That could be is just the cage they put the truth in while they wait for permission to let it out. But here's the thought that should keep you awake at night. K2-18b may be teeming with life, and that life may be completely silent. The oceans of this world could be filled with organisms, thriving under thick clouds, in warm waters, as complex as the whales and sharks of our own seas. They could have societies, cultures, histories, but they will never build a radio. They will never send a signal across the void. They will live and die, generation after generation, completely unaware that we exist. And we will know they're there, but we will never speak to them. We will be two worlds, both alive, both conscious, separated forever by the silence of different paths. The observations continue. Every time JWST looks at K2-18b, more data arrives. The DMS signal is persistent, but not yet conclusive. The scientific world is in a state of controlled frenzy, the kind you see right before something breaks. The moment they confirm it, the moment they stand up and say, yes, this is life, it will be the biggest story in human history. Nothing will ever be the same. Until then, it remains the most promising, tantalizing, and frustrating mystery in all of creation. But while we look for life out there, our search is constantly being disrupted by things much, much closer to home, like our own dead satellites, screaming into the void and fooling us all. Number 7. Ghost Orbit. June 2024. A team of scientists at the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder, ASKAP, was doing what they always do. Listening. Then it happened. A pulse. A fast radio burst, but unlike any they'd seen before. It lasted less than 30 nanoseconds, a fraction of a blink, but it was so powerful it drowned out every other signal from the sky. Every star, every galaxy, everything. The team was electrified, hands shaking, voices hushed. Had they found it? Was this the first confirmed artificial signal from deep space? They spent a year on it, a full year, pointing telescopes across the globe at that patch of sky, tracing the signal's path, running simulations, checking and double-checking. The answer, when it finally came, was not the one they wanted. The signal wasn't coming from deep space. It wasn't coming from another galaxy or another star. It was coming from Earth's orbit. Relay 2, a NASA communications satellite launched in 1964 when Lyndon Johnson was president and the Beatles were still touring. It had stopped working in 1967. Its transponders went dead nearly 60 years ago. For 6 decades, it was just another piece of junk, a zombie satellite silently circling the planet, forgotten by everyone except the most dedicated space trackers. But for one brief moment, something changed. Something woke it up. And in that moment, it fired a pulse of energy directly at Earth, mimicking the signature of an extragalactic fast radio burst so perfectly that it fooled the best astronomers on the planet for an entire year. So it woke the dead. Scientists have theories. Maybe a buildup of static electricity on the spacecraft finally reached a breaking point and discharged, creating a powerful burst of energy. Or maybe something smaller. A micrometeoroid, a fleck of space rock no bigger than a dust particle, slamming into the satellite at unimaginable speed. The impact would have created a tiny cloud of plasma, a hot gas that magnified the signal just enough to reach us. A piece of our own space junk, with a little help from the laws of physics, had tricked us into thinking we'd found aliens. A dead machine, struck by a dust grain, screaming loud enough to drown out the universe. This is the ultimate they reveal. The thing that nearly fooled the world wasn't a hyper-intelligent civilization from another galaxy. It wasn't a beacon or a message or a first contact. It was our own trash. We are polluting not just our planet now, but our entire local space environment. And that pollution is so extensive, so pervasive, that it is actively interfering with one of humanity's most profound quests. We're looking for life out there while surrounding ourselves with a shell of dead machines that mimic it. We're getting in our own way. Think about the numbers. There are nearly 30,000 objects larger than a softball currently orbiting Earth. Millions more smaller pieces, screwdrivers, paint flecks, fragments of exploded rockets. Each one of them is a potential false alarm. Each one is a ghost that could lead scientists on another year-long wild goose chase. As we fill the space around our planet with more and more junk, we are building a prison of our own making. A shell of interference that may one day completely block out the whispers of the cosmos. Relay 2 is still up there. It's still silent for now. But every piece of space debris is a potential Relay 2. The mystery isn't what caused this signal anymore. We solved that. The new mystery, the one that should haunt every astronomer working in this field, is this: how many other signals have we attributed to aliens that were actually just our own forgotten technology? How many times have we been fooled and we didn't even know it? How many genuine messages from out there have been drowned out by our own screaming junk? The Relay 2 incident was solved, but not all satellite mysteries are. Some signals from orbit still defy explanation entirely. Number 8. Deep Echo. In 2003, the Arecibo telescope was doing what it did best, listening. As part of a SETI survey, astronomers were scanning the skies, sifting through static, waiting for something unusual. And then they found it. A signal designated SHGB02+14A. Short-lived radio bursts picked up not once, but on 3 separate occasions, coming from a point in space between the constellations Pisces and Aries. A patch of sky with nothing remarkable about it. Weak signals. Fleeting. But there, unlike the WOW signal, which was a single powerful blast that left no doubt, this one had a characteristic that made the scientists lean in closer. Its frequency was drifting. The drift rate was measurable, between 8 and 37 hertz per second. A steady, consistent shift. And here's why that matters. When a signal comes from a moving source, like a planet orbiting a star, the motion creates a Doppler shift. The frequency changes as the planet moves toward you or away from you. That's exactly what SHGB02+14A was doing. It was behaving like a transmitter on a rotating world, hurtling through space at incredible speed. This is one of the key hallmarks of a potential technosignature. One of the boxes scientists check when they're trying to separate aliens from noise. For all the world, it looked like a message from another world. But then, like so many before it, SHGB02+14A vanished. Astronomers pointed telescopes back at that patch of sky between Pisces and Aries. Nothing. They tried again. Still nothing. The signal had whispered its secret and then fallen completely silent. The SETI team was cautious, as they always are. They noted that the signal was near the frequency of a hydrogen line, but not exactly on it. A near miss. A tantalizing almost fit. A puzzle piece that looked like it belonged, but when you try to snap it into place, it didn't quite click. And that near miss is what haunts astronomers to this day. Here's the part that makes no sense. The source region for SHGB02+14A appears to be empty. There's no star system there. No pulsar. No known object of any kind that could account for a signal. It seems to have come from void. From the dark, empty space between the stars. If it was a natural phenomenon, it's one we've never seen before in decades of listening. If it was a signal, its origin point is invisible to us. Something is out there in the darkness and we cannot see what it is. That's not just a mystery. That's cosmic horror. The WOW signal became famous. Books were written about it. Documentaries made. But SHGB02+14A? It's been largely forgotten. It sits in the archives, a curiosity, an anomaly that didn't fit the narrative. It wasn't as dramatic. It wasn't as powerful. And it was harder to explain. So it was quietly filed away. This is a different kind of suppression. The suppression of the inconvenient. When you can't explain something and it won't go away, sometimes you just stop talking about it. You let it gather dust. You hope nobody asks. And eventually, the question dies. To this day, SHGB02 plus 14A has no confirmed explanation. No natural source has been identified. No satellite or spacecraft has been blamed. It remains a ghost signal from an empty patch of sky, one of the most intriguing, maybe moments in the entire history of SETI. It reminds us that the universe is full of things that make noise, and we have no idea what most of them are. The signal is still out there, in the data, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting to be reanalyzed with new tools and fresh eyes. Its mystery is frozen in time, a cold case that someday, maybe someone will reopen. Some signals are one-offs. They appear, they vanish, they haunt us forever. But some keep coming back, and the ones that repeat might be the most important of all. Number 9. Lunar anomaly. Most fast radio bursts are one-time events. They flash once, briefly, impossibly bright, and then they're gone forever. Astronomers call them cataclysmic, the death throes of stars, the final screams of collapsing giants. But in recent years, something strange has emerged from the data. A handful of FRBs repeat. They come from the same source over and over again. The most famous, FRB 121102, has emitted hundreds of bursts since its discovery. Hundreds. This changes everything. A one-off burst could be a star dying, a one-way ticket to oblivion. But a repeater? That's an engine. That's something that survives its own explosions. That's a heartbeat, not a scream. And hearts beat again and again. In 2020, a groundbreaking study from National Tsinghua University in Taiwan looked at how FRBs evolve across cosmic time. They analyzed the data, ran the numbers, and found something remarkable. Non-repeating FRBs seem to come from cataclysmic events, the merger of white dwarfs, the collision of dead stars. But repeating FRBs evolve differently. Their pattern matches the behavior of magnetars. Highly magnetized neutron stars, the cores of dead giants, spinning in the darkness with magnetic fields a trillion times stronger than anything on Earth. For the first time, we had a clear, data-driven distinction. Repeaters are likely magnetars. Probably. But that word probably is doing an awful lot of work. Here's the problem. We don't fully understand magnetars either. We know they exist. We know they're powerful. But how they produce FRBs, especially repeating ones, is still a complete mystery. The theory is that they have starquakes, cracks in their ultra-dense crusts that release immense energy, or magnetic flares, twisting and snapping like cosmic rubber bands. But to produce a repeating FRB, these events would have to be incredibly regular and incredibly powerful. Nothing like what we see in known magnetars. The explanation fits, but it's a tight squeeze. It's a shoe that almost fits, but pinches in all the wrong places. If a repeater is an engine, what kind of engine could it be? Some scientists have speculated quietly in papers nobody reads about other possibilities. Alien power plants, beaming energy across the galaxy to distant colonies. Massive communication arrays, pulsing with the chatter of a billion conversations. The regularity of some repeaters is almost mechanical. It's the kind of precision you expect from a machine, not a random stellar burp. The they, in this case, wouldn't be the signal itself. The they would be the source of the power. The civilization that built the engine. The ones who keep it running. But you won't hear that in the official narrative. The scientific press releases are clear. It's magnetars. Case closed. Except the data isn't that clear. The connection is statistical, not definitive. It's a best guess dressed up as certainty. And by presenting that guess as fact, the scientific community suppresses something important. They suppress the more exciting, more terrifying, more profound possibility. That we are hearing the engines of an alien civilization, and we don't even know it. That the heartbeat we're detecting isn't a star. It's a machine. And machines have builders. Today, telescopes around the world are trained on the known repeaters. Every time one pulses, we learn a little more. We are mapping the heartbeat of these cosmic engines. But what we are mapping, a star or a civilization, remains unknown. The mystery is alive, pulsing in real time, waiting for us to finally understand what it is we're listening to. Every new burst is a new clue. Every repeater is a new chance. And somewhere out there, if the engine is real, it doesn't care what we call it. It just keeps beating. We've looked at 9 signals now. 9 mysteries. 9 pieces of a puzzle that spans decades and billions of light years. But they all share one thing. A secret language. A code we haven't cracked. And that brings us to the final piece. Number 10 reveals what that code might really mean. Number 10. Unknown origin. Why do we listen at 1420 megahertz? Why did the wow signal appear exactly there? Why is that specific frequency considered the universal channel? It's called the hydrogen line. Neutral hydrogen, the most abundant element in the entire universe, naturally emits energy at exactly 1420 megahertz. Any civilization anywhere, on any planet orbiting any star, with even basic radio astronomy, would discover this frequency. It's written into the laws of physics. It's the one frequency everyone agrees on because nature itself created it. Think of it as the cosmic water cooler, the place where anyone who wants to be found would gather, the place where anyone who wants to find others would listen. Here's the conspiracy that nobody talks about. For decades, scientists have operated under a massive, unspoken assumption. They assumed that any intelligent species out there would want to be found. They assume aliens would broadcast on the hydrogen line as a beacon, a deliberate, "we are here" shout into the void. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the hydrogen line isn't for broadcasting at all? What if it's for listening? The real conspiracy isn't that we're sending signals. It's that we're eavesdropping. We are sitting by the cosmic water cooler, pretending to read a newspaper, hoping to overhear a conversation not meant for us. And the fact that we keep hearing whispers, the wow signal, the Arecibo 100, the repeating FRBs, suggests something terrifying. The water cooler isn't empty. It's crowded, and we're the only ones not talking. Look back at everything we've covered. The wow signal, right on the hydrogen line, 72 seconds long, never repeated, never explained. BLC-1, a false alarm from Proxima Centauri, but a brutal reminder of how our own noise drowns out the voices. FRB 20220610, 8 billion years old, from a cluster of galaxies so tightly packed that civilizations could literally hop from planet to planet. ASKAP J1832 0911, an impossible object pulsing every 44 minutes like a machine that refuses to stop. The Arecibo 100, 12 billion signals reduced to 100 irreducible mysteries, the survivors of the greatest filter humanity has ever built. K2-18b, the chemical fingerprint of life itself, drifting through the atmosphere of an alien ocean world. Relay 2, our own dead technology, our trash, screaming loud enough to fool us for an entire year. SHGB02+14A, a signal from an empty patch of sky, from a void where nothing exists, yet something spoke. Repeating FRBs, the heartbeats of cosmic engines, pulsing with mechanical regularity, surviving their own explosions again and again. In every single case, the simplest explanation, the most obvious explanation, is the one dismissed first. It's aliens. That's the hypothesis they rush to kill. Why? Because the establishment is terrified of the answer. They are terrified that the cosmic water cooler is full of voices, and we're the only ones sitting in silence. This brings us to the Fermi paradox. The great question: if the universe is teeming with life, where is everybody? The signals we've discussed are the answer. They are everybody. They are the whispers we've been too deaf to hear, the conversations we've been too distracted to join. The great silence isn't silence at all. It's a roar of cosmic chatter, and we are only now, in our technological infancy, beginning to make out a few words. The suppression isn't that the signals are hidden. It's that we've been trained not to believe in them, trained to dismiss, trained to explain away, trained to hear a heartbeat and call a star. So here's the real mystery. Not are they out there? The evidence suggests they are. The real mystery is, Why can't we hear them clearly? Is it our technology? Our noise? Our junk clogging the cosmic frequencies? Or is it something more profound? Are they speaking a language we can't understand? Using physics we haven't discovered yet? Encoding messages in dimensions we can't perceive? The greatest suppression of all may be the limits of our own minds. We're like deep-sea fish trying to understand radio waves. The signals are all around us, passing through us, bouncing off us, and we lack the senses to perceive them. The truth may be screaming in our ears at this very moment, and we are biologically incapable of hearing it. So, where does this leave us? We have a pattern of unexplained signals stretching back nearly 50 years. We have a universal frequency that points directly to intelligence as the most logical explanation. We have a profound deafness to the cosmos, a self-inflicted blindness caused by our own noise and our own closed minds. And we have a choice. We can continue to explain away every whisper, every heartbeat, every impossible pulse. Or we can accept what the evidence has been telling us all along. The cosmic water cooler is full. The conversations are happening. And it's time we stopped pretending we're the only ones in the room. We started with a single red pen mark on a computer printout. A volunteer astronomer in Ohio, circling a sequence of numbers and writing one word. Wow. 48 years later, that word still echoes. But it's not alone anymore. We end now with a cosmos full of whispers, a universe that refuses to be silent. The wow signal wasn't an anomaly. It was the first loud and clear voice in a choir we are only now learning to hear. Look at the pattern that's emerged. The impossible rhythm of ASKAP J1832, 0911, pulsing every 44 minutes like a machine that shouldn't exist. The chemical breath of life drifting through the atmosphere of K2-18b, a fingerprint of biology 124 light-years away. The ancient scream of FRB 202206110A, traveling for 8 billion years before finally reaching us. The 100 secrets buried in the Arecibo data, 12 billion signals reduced to a handful of irreducible mysteries. Each number on this list is a thread, and when you weave them together, they form a tapestry. A tapestry that points to one conclusion, whether the establishment wants to admit it or not. We are not alone. The universe is not silent. It is alive, and it is talking. We just haven't learned how to listen. The tragedy isn't that the signals are too weak to hear. The technology exists. The telescopes are pointed at the right patches of sky. The tragedy is that when we hear them, we explain them away. We call them magnetars when they pulse too slowly to be anything we understand. We call them interference when they come from voids where nothing should exist. We call them natural when they fit every pattern of intelligence except the one that scares us. The core message of everything you've just seen is this. The greatest barrier to discovering alien life is not the vastness of space, is not the limits of our technology, it is the poverty of our own imagination. We're the ones standing in our own way. The suppression continues right now as you watch this. Every time a promising signal is detected, the machinery of skepticism grinds it into dust. Whistleblowers are ignored. Data is archived and forgotten. Theories that don't fit the narrative are quietly buried. But you now know the pattern. You've seen the evidence laid out, one piece at a time. You are part of the resistance against cosmic nihilism, against the boring, dead universe they want you to believe in. You're the ones who will keep listening when others tell you there's nothing to hear. You are the ones who understand that the silence isn't silence at all. So we leave you with this question. After everything you've seen, after the WOW, signal and BLC-1 and the ancient burst and the impossible pulsar and the Arecibo 100 and the living ocean world and the zombie satellite and the ghost from the void and the repeating heartbeats and the conspiracy at the heart of the hydrogen line, after all of that, do you think we've already detected a signal from aliens and just didn't recognize it? Which of these 10 mysteries do you think is the real proof? Comment below. I read every single one, and I'll pin the best theory to the top. Next time, we look at the inventors who claim to have harnessed zero-point energy and the mysterious fates that befell them. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. And keep looking up. The whispers are out there. All we have to do is listen.